Hello and welcome to Counterbalance, the show in which we debate hot Magic the Gathering topics. I'm Dave.
And I'm Chris.
And we've got some good stuff coming your way. We've got Throne of Eldraine spoiler season in full swing. So
yeah, and it's awesome.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Like I was a fan of Lorwyn, so like this sort of feel, I'm into it. But
I mean, we have Prince Charming, we have all sorts of great stuff. And I know this is not part of the show or the topic, but hey, you know what? We're talking about Throne of Eldraine that I can't say 10 times fast, so let's get on to the topic.
So fortunately, that is also not a part of the show. So you're going to have to say it one time fast at most at any given moment. But yes, obviously, Throne of Eldraine right around the corner. But ever since Dominaria, we've been seeing new product scarcity for both stores and players for like 30 to 60 days on average. And it's resulted in higher prices and in some cases fewer events around release. So what are your thoughts on this pattern of artificial scarcity?
Well, first, I think in plain words, it sucks. And I think it sucks for not only players or folks who want to get their hands on the product, but it also it's good for stores, but also bad for stores who want to continue to sell more. And the reason why I say there's a good part of it is because some of the larger stores that can get an early allocation of a lot of boxes will then sell them at a higher rate. And they have been. That's been the pattern. You know, if we look back to most recently with War of the Spark, boxers were selling for like $135 a box. And that's ridiculous for release date for a standard set. And so that's some of the things that we've been seeing. And I think that is really bad for the game's economy. And I feel like it's really bad for small stores, for players, because again, you have this artificial scarcity in the very beginning. And granted, it's for like 30, 60 days. I think War of the Spark went as far as 90 days. And I think a lot of it was because the set was so hyped and everybody wanted it, right? But at the same time, like doing stuff like that, I think really harms people who really want to get their hands, they're excited, they want to get their hands on the set. And so then they go to eBay and spend $135, $140 for a box of cards that in 30, 60 days is going to be $90. And so this is one of those things where I just feel like this pattern that we see Wizards going down, you know, from these past few sets is just really bad. And I don't like it. We still pay the prices because we want the sets, right? Like that is what we do, but it doesn't mean it makes it right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly in balance on this. I'm going to add to it a little bit. I think that particularly from the perspective of a small LGS, this is tough. I mean, if you're running a small game store and you don't really work much with singles, which I do think is a mistake, but like, you know, we know a lot of shops that we quite love that just don't really have the resources to do that cost effectively, and so they're mostly dealing with sealed product and events. And the events are basically a loss lead, like you're getting people into the door. So when those dry up, and when the packs also dry up, you know, that's a lot of opportunity gone for those stores. I definitely think you're right. By the way, with War of the Spark, I mean that was hugely hyped. I mean, I can't think of a set that was that hyped since like Battle for Zendikar with the expeditions and all.
Yeah.
So there's a legitimate shot that even if this exact pattern continues, it won't be as bad for Throne of Eldraine. But who knows? And it's really unfortunate to be in that position where you're like, will I actually be able to get a hold of this product at a reasonable price? I would love to see a little bit more go out, especially to some of the smaller stores. Maybe who knows? Maybe that's all you need. Like if you bump up the allocations for some of your smaller stores, that might do enough to correct this, but it might not.
Yeah, and here's some of the other issues that we're seeing now, and this just actually transpired in the last couple of days. So I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but so the Brawl decks were being sold at over 3 times
Yeah.
of the cost of the normal decks, right? Like I think I wouldn't say MSRP, but the target price for the 4-deck set is $80. Okay, and you were finding them for 170, 180, 185 for a 4-deck set.
Yeah.
That is astronomical when it comes to the difference in price, and this has gone on for like several weeks. So people were buying them on eBay, on TCG Player, knowing that there's going to be this scarcity of, well, they're just not going to have a lot around. And everybody wants to get their hands on these things. And then all of a sudden, Wizards comes out and says, we're monitoring the situation. Just so you know, there's going to be plenty at release. And so now you have all these people that are wanting to cancel their orders who paid $160, $170, $180 for these decks. And so a lot of these folks now are going to get stuck buying these decks for $180 when other folks can just walk into a store and get them for $80, $90. And so this is where I think the problem lies, and the challenge that Wizards really needs to like figure this out and really communicate this more and really come up with a plan rather than this is what's going to happen, or letting the what's basically what's happening, or what I perceive as what's happening, is like distributors are creating this sort of, they don't know because they're not told what's happening. So then there's this artificial scarcity. But again, this is just my hypothesis. I'm not sure.
Do you think it's intentional, or do you think this is accidental? Like, is this Wizards trying to drive demand, but then sort of overplaying their hand, or
yes.
Okay?
Yes, and I think there's an intent there. But when the intent ends up becoming a problem of that flip on a dime because they realize people are in an uproar and then they change their mind, like they've done plenty of times, I think that's a very, very bad line to toe. Let's move on to our next topic, and that is Wizards recently announced major changes to competitive play. Is this what competitive Magic needs, or was it another mental misstep?
Well, while you lose 2 life for your pun, I think it's what Magic needs. Like, if for those of you who've seen episode 2 of this show, and if you haven't, I recommend you click over to it. It's possible that Chris just did some linky magic somewhere here. I don't know. I really don't, but it could be in this general vicinity. He's probably going to do that, yeah. But we did discuss this prior to the announcement. Basically laid out our wish lists, our frustrations, our suspicions for why everyone was in the dark on this, and basically we got everything that we asked for, and most of our suspicions were confirmed. So nice job.
Hey,
yeah.
Except they're still doing Magic Fest.
Sure. Chris didn't get his full wish list. I know for me with Magic Fest, my frustration was more that there were events that were competing against each other, specifically the Mythic Championship qualifiers being on day 2 of the Grand Prix at Magic Fest. But that's not really an issue anymore. So I'm good.
Yeah, and actually, I'm really I'm frustrated because I just don't think Magic Fest makes sense anymore. But okay, I get it, and that's fine.
I think they're fun.
But I think they're just a waste of money. But
well, they're that too. But I mean, like,
But okay,
it could be 2 things.
But hold on. The one thing that I was really excited for, and I'm definitely jumping to, is SCG Tour. SCG Tour now having seats back into...
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Not necessarily what is used to be called the Pro Tour, but is now the Players Tour, right? Yeah. So that's exciting.
Yes, that's very exciting. Some of these regional tours that are in, like, many cases very well run, they have great followings, and they're starting to feed into like these sort of unified tournaments and tours, and that's super exciting. That was on our wish list. Awesome.
And if you haven't seen the article yet, and you haven't seen the professor's video yet, I'll link both in the description below for more description and more expansive information about the new, sort of the way that the different structures are working now. So I didn't want to go through it in this episode because there's just a lot to cover, but there's definitely some great resources that we'll link to in the bottom.
Yep.
Next up, with Brawl making its debut appearance on Arena, which I was excited for, and tons of spicy new commanders in Throne of Eldraine, I command you to Brawl. No, seriously, Brawl or Commander?
Counter, neither.
What?
Okay.
That's not possible.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. Okay, so I suppose this was bound to happen. I hate Commander. I hate Brawl. I love that they exist. I have absolutely no interest in playing them. I've tried. There's just... They work on a couple of axes that I don't like. The singleton format makes for a lot more random gameplay, which I obviously has its benefits, but just isn't the part of the game that I love. And particularly once we get into multiplayer formats, I go I start getting flashbacks to to the mid '90s when we were all like playing in circles, and it takes 10 minutes to get back around to your turn sequence. People aren't playing snappily. So I get it. Like the arguments for these, from the Commander crew of but it's a social experience. It absolutely is, and it's an amazing one. It's just not the experience that I'm looking for when I pick up a deck of Magic cards. I have other games and other experiences that I use to scratch that itch. So, but is it wonderful that that these formats have created the kind of interest that they've created? Yes. Is it wonderful that these supplementary products have come out and brought some killer new cards into Legacy, a format I love, and into and it's brought us these reprints. Those are great. But no, I'm not interested in in getting into these. I think that's
to give you a pause there for a second.
Sure, yeah.
if we didn't have Commander, did you know that True Name Nemesis wouldn't have been printed?
I just said it brings great cards into Legacy, a format I love.
I know, but come on, you gotta love Commander for that.
I do, and I said I did. Why are you telling me that I'm?
Then just play Commander.
That's different. That is different.
I'm trying to get him to play Commander. By the way.
That's so miserable. I've tried it with I've tried it in so many situations in which I'm with people I really, really, really like, and people who are really strong, snappy players, and then we introduce alcohol, and it still just doesn't do it. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. Are you gonna? Can you come off your soapbox for a few minutes and I can talk?
Yeah, please.
All right, sweet.
Just don't tell me what I think.
No, you know what though? I think I started playing Commander about a year ago, and I really started enjoying Commander. But I'm gonna say that I enjoy Brawl way better than Commander. And here's a couple of things. One, playing Brawl on Arena sold it for me. I was at first a little hesitant. I was like, just another Commander format. But I think the fact that you're playing with a 60 card deck and it's basically standard cards.
60 cards is huge as opposed to the 100. That's a very real selling point.
Yeah, and so I think the balance there, although originally I was a little skeptical, has really sold me on the format. And I actually really like Brawl way more than Commander. And also, if we think about this too, they have, and I think without knowing, they have started to print cards specifically for Brawl in standard sets without saying that they were doing it.
Yeah, but they're definitely there's definitely cards that are designed to be Commanders.
Agreed.
But that can't push through the 25 years of wildly oscillating power for these creatures. I mean, it's really hard to make it in as a Commander staple in a modern set. And I think that is a legitimate point in Brawl's favor.
And one last point, I guess I will say, is when I first started playing Commander, I was overwhelmed because the amount of cards that either I hadn't seen because they're so, obnoxiously not played anywhere. And although, I've seen them before, I just completely forgot about them.
In some cases, you probably hadn't seen them since 97.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And so playing something, it's refreshing to play commander style in standard format, because when I play limited, I'm playing those cards anyways. So like
as opposed to Varchild's War Riders. What the hell?
Like, yeah, like what the?
I feel like this was bad in Alliances. I don't remember.
But anyways, I know you don't like it, but I like Brawl. I can actually say, Commander, sorry, I'm not playing you anymore.
Okay, so that is all for us, but it is not all for you, we hope, anyway. We would love to hear your comments on any of the questions or conversations that we had. So let's keep the conversation going. And until then, we'll see you next time. Welcome to the world of tomorrow! We debate hot Magic the Gathering topics. I'm Dave.
And I'm Chris.
And I was not expecting Chris to do that. Throne of the... Gosh, I keep messing up.
You know what? We're talking about Throne of Eldraine that I can't say. Is it good as Throne?
I mean, I think it's pretty good, Throne.
Okay.
What are we even saying? I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Now go to your window.